Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Cafe con Giorgio. Today I have the pleasure of sitting down with Julissa.
Hi.
Julissa is a past client of ours, and we met a couple of years ago when her real estate transaction was going a little bit like crazy, and people were freaking out in the situation, and they needed someone to come through. And Tamayo, who's awesome, gave me a call and she's like, "Hey, listen, can you help out?" So, we came in, we helped out, and then from that point forward, Julissa and I have been keeping in touch, talking, text messaging, Snapchatting, Instagramming, whatever you call it, and whenever we have positive thought, we usually share with each other, and here we are. Did I say it right? Is that how we met?
Yes, it is exactly how we met. And I'm glad we met. So happy. Thanks to
So,
Mayo.
so she is awesome. She's pretty awesome. So we again, we got to talk in this past couple of years. We know a lot. I know a lot about you because of Instagram and
Yeah.
Snapchat. I know that you're very involved in your community, and you're very passionate about inspiring young minds. And especially in your church, you're very involved in your church. So wanted to share with the rest of the world what Ulissa does. How you got to be as awesome as you are, and hopefully inspire other people to be awesome.
Thank you. Just a typical Hispanic girl, born and raised in church, and which, like Giorgio said, I'm very passionate about. And I pretty much give my all, and that's how I serve the community most of the time in church. Um, and with parents that were very dedicated to me and my siblings and always wanting the best and for us to always be have the best and be successful in life and have what they didn't have. And so that was a motivation to me, seeing how they struggled and how they strive to get the little bit that they have in life, was an inspiration to me. And for me to try to make them happy was my goal. And also to have a future for my kids, a better future. And the way
And
I
actually,
see
I've
that,
been talking to a lot of my friends and people in my circle, and I'm very, quick of feeling people's energy. And when I first met you, even though we actually never met face to face, it's always been through the phone. And I think this is the first time that we're doing like an actual, like even virtual face to face. Even though we see each
right.
other in pictures, right? Um, I felt your energy right away, and I could feel immediately, the fact that just like me, there was that the period, or that the struggle, and you were trying to get to that point, to that better, right?
Hmm.
And and you touch a couple of points, and a lot of the people that I in my circle, very few people are actually in my circle, people that I keep really in touch with. Everybody reaches out to me. I reach out very,
Hmm.
very infrequently. Um, I feel that the people that are around my circle is people like you, that and I, Hispanic family that came and had struggles, but the struggles was not something that stopped them and impeded them to move forward and succeed. Actually, it was the extra push to get you to where you want to be. So,
Right.
um, where were you born? Were you born in America or
I was actually born in Newark, New Jersey.
Newark? Okay,
Yeah. But at a very young age, which I don't even remember when, my parents moved to New York, to Brooklyn.
okay. To Brooklyn. How did they end up there? Just like from Newark to Brooklyn.
Well, my father's family had a house in Newark,
Okay.
which is why when they married, they moved over to Newark. But my mother's family is in Brooklyn, the majority of it still. And so, she's very, very, very united with her family. And so eventually, I think that's what took them back. She wanted to be close to her parents.
Were your parents born here?
My father was born in Honduras. My mom was born in Brooklyn.
Okay. All right. I didn't know
Mhm.
your father was from Honduras. I thought they were
Yes.
from Puerto Rico. So
No,
who's Puerto
my
Rican?
mom is. My mom.
Ah, okay, okay. So your mom is Puerto Rican, but not born in Puerto Rico. She was born here.
She's a New Yorican.
She's a New Rican. Okay. So Honduras and New York. Did you know that Sandra, my Sandra, is from Honduras?
No, I did not.
Yeah, she's from
Oh, that's
Honduras. That's
awesome. That's
funny.
awesome.
Yeah, yeah. So okay, so your father was born from Honduras and came to Newark looking for a better life.
Right.
Met your mom, and after you were born, you guys ended up moving to Brooklyn, because your mom's family was there.
Yes.
So growing up as a Hispanic lady in Brooklyn, New York, like you said your parents struggled and worked hard.
Mhm.
How was it like, and how did that impact you and inspire you to be who you are today?
It was great. I must say I had a great childhood. My parents, I repeat, they're great parents and they gave us the best that they can and we had a great childhood. I can't complain. But it was Brooklyn. We lived in apartments and we are playing outside was playing in the sidewalk and riding our bikes and together on top of each other pretty much. The buildings are all together and so that's pretty much how I was, but always had a good fun childhood. And my parents always strived to move to Puerto Rico, and we tried and I came back. And so that my father always told me, get your house, get out of New York, go to the country if you can. And so that's what I did.
So, do you feel that the fact that you grew up in an environment like Brooklyn, where everybody was, like you said, close to each other, and
Yeah.
pretty much everybody knew each other, and
Mhm.
do you feel that that's what made you, in a way, as open to everybody as you are, or was it because like something that your parents instilled in you, or because of the church?
I think it all plays a part of it. It definitely made me a strong female. I'm very social. And although sometimes I'm like, I'm not, but everybody tells me, yes, you are. You're a very people person. And
You are.
and so in school and the neighborhood and my family's very close knit, and so there was only a certain group of people or of kids that I was able to associate with because they didn't let me go out much. And so yeah.
Typical Hispanic
um,
family.
right. And then church. So in church, we're in group and we're a very small united church. And so yeah, all of that played a role in who I am today and made me strong and determined and try to always look for positive.
So, you growing up, your parents, have various jobs, or they always have one particular job or a business, or
My mom, for the most part, was with me. She raised my sister and I, and she worked when I was already a teenager. That I was able to, to then go help and
fend
pick
for
up my
yourself? Yeah,
sister.
yeah.
Yeah, and my dad had one job for many, 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 many years, and he was doing. It was a pretty good job for those times. But when I was about 10, they decided to move to Puerto Rico, and it
Okay.
didn't turn out as they wanted it to turn out. So we ended up coming back after a couple of months, but he had one job until then. Hmm.
So, while you were, growing up, and in your circle, in your family, did they push you to go to college, to be a business person, to be? I mean, we know that you were part of a church, but like, did they push you to be there, or did they just let you be to whatever you desire?
To be honest with you, they did want me to have an education, but they were a little bit more realistic as far as trying to get something that I didn't have to be so many years in school and make money. And so that's what they always told me. They never stopped me. If it was my decision to go to college, they would have not stopped me, but I decided not to. I went straight from high school into working, and from there, I got married at a very young age.
Okay. So
Yeah.
how did so you got married at a very young age? How old were you when you were married?
My first marriage, I was 19.
Okay. So you were married at 19, and again, you wouldn't have to go personal if you don't want to, right? I know that now you're in a very happy marriage, and that you guys have your own house in Plainfield. Your sister just moved to be close to
Yeah.
you guys.
Yeah.
I know that you're very close, family, tie, and it is very common for our Hispanic community to for young individuals to either get married at a young age or have children at a young age, and many times that impedes you to get and achieve maybe the level that you could have gotten because of the situations that again, getting married or having children at a young age. you know do you feel that that could have been you and then you were able to surpass that, or that if you would have made that you could have been something, or that's just part of who you are?
I feel everything happens for a reason, and the Lord has a plan in everything in my life, and everything that did happen in my life was supposed to happen that way. And so I do feel that if I wouldn't have gotten married at such a young age, maybe I would have been at a different state in my life. But then I wouldn't have my kids, and because of my kids is why I strive to get better and eventually get my house. And so I feel that I'm happy with how things went on in my life
Things pan out,
and the way it turned out.
and it wouldn't have maybe allow you to appreciate your current relationship and realize how things are different or could be, right?
Right, right.
So you had, again, don't have to answer. So you were young, you had your children at a young age,
Hmm.
and while you were having children, you were also working. And were you able to accomplish doing it all?
It was really tough. But yes, I had my children. For my oldest, I was 21, and for my youngest, I was 23. And it was really tough. I started with temporary jobs, and that's how I was able to. I was working at an insurance place for car insurance,
Yep.
and I was there for many years, but that wasn't a place for me to remain at. And so once I became pregnant with my oldest and I had her, obviously I went on maternity leave, and during maternity leave I decided that I needed to get a better job, and so I started working in the hospital,
Okay.
temporary. They liked how I worked, they liked my work ethic, and they ended up offering me a permanent position.
Nice.
And so yeah, and so that worked out pretty well. Mhm.
So and that's really what I'm trying to get to, is the fact that no matter the circumstances, no matter the how shitty things could look, in the particular moment, if you have a mindset that this is not what it is or was going to be forever, it's just part of the steps that I need to take in order to get to that point,
Mhm.
and if you
Mhm.
look at life that way, then there's nothing that can stop you.
Right. There really isn't. You have to be determined, and like you said earlier, you have to want it. And so that pushes you, and of course having everything in prayer, and things will turn out. Things will turn out. They did for me.
Exactly. So now you're a little bit older.
Yes.
Your
Not too old. Too
your
young.
girls are older. You're more
Yes.
mature, right?
Hmm.
Do
Hmm.
you feel that the impact that these your I guess life experiences gave into your life, do you share them with your children, or do you you know don't really share how life was before, what I'm trying to say is, do you let them know the struggles that you had to go to get to the level that you are, or do you just try to paint them like a pretty picture that things are just like that because
No,
it's
not
America?
at all.
Okay.
Not at all. I do speak to them about struggles and past experiences. Of course, I feel that there's some things I shouldn't tell them, at least not yet. But for the most part, I do speak to them about the struggles in life and what I went through. And if they do things differently than what I did, they could get further in life and be more successful in life, and be happier.
Do you feel that maybe sometimes we push our experiences, for better or for worse, we push our experiences too much to our children, and they might will come out too strong because us wanting them to be, guess, better than ourselves?
I do. I do. I feel like sometimes I do that, but I want to say that I catch myself when
Okay. at
I
least
am
you know
doing
at
that.
least you know Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and so I have to then refrain and take a couple of steps back, because I feel that also people need to have bad experiences and struggle a little bit in life to be able to appreciate things a little bit more and be able to say, okay, you know what? I went through this. This is the decision I made. Even if my mom told me that wouldn't have been a good one, but I made it. And now I have to face the consequences and come up with a solution for it to get better.
Yeah, it's funny because for almost 10 years I didn't speak to my mom. I did not see her or speak to her, and we always had a really weird relationship when we came to America. So, little background on me, right? I was born in Peru, and my mom is Peruvian. My father is Argentinian,
Hmm.
and we moved to Italy when I was like 5 years old, and my brother was like two or like six and three, but anyway, like around there, 5 or 6, and we moved to Italy, and I pretty much grew up Italian. Like I was a baby, so when I came to America in 1999, I was 16 years old. My those growing years were Italian. We didn't speak Spanish. We really never ate Peruvian in my house.
Hmm.
So my mom had a new partner, who became our stepfather, and he's awesome. So I consider myself Italian. And when we came to the United States, to Patterson, New Jersey, Eastside High School, it was a very tough transition for a teenager.
Hmm.
Um, in Italy, we lived well. We had money, we had drivers, nannies, and all that shit. And then you come to Patterson to like garbage. In my mind, I'm
Hmm.
like, what are we doing here? And I resented her for a long time.
Hmm.
She kicked me out when I was 17 years old. And from that point forward, our relationship was always a struggle. We were always fighting. We were always, never saw it, eye to eye. All her family is Hispanic, Peruvian, uh, factory workers. No one went to college. No one did anything. No one owned a home. I wanted to be better. I wanted to
Hmm.
be, again, coming from Italy, maybe a different mindset, but I always saw it that this country had all these opportunities, and there's so many things that we could have done. So I separated myself from that side of the family, really didn't talk to them for a long time. They'll only come to me whenever they needed something, right? And I always gave, but at the same time, I was always very judgmental,
Hmm.
always. Uh, to the point that it came to a point that I was like, listen, I'm not gonna deal with this shit, and I stopped talking to all of them, including my mom.
Wow.
Today, uh, many years have passed, and as I mature in the last 5 years, actually I matured a lot more, and I really learned how to look inside of myself and analyze myself and trying to figure out really, how or who I am and how I become who I am.
Hmm.
And she always was a recurring, you know um, fact that one of the main reasons why I was who I am is because my mom struggles. She was a single
Hmm.
mom of three, coming to America, to Patterson, working in a factory, making $6 an hour, $7 an hour. You know, where for me, making money was something that it was easy. Like at one point, I was making $1,000 a week doing taxes, and then doing $10,000 a week doing real estate, where she was still struggling and working, the factory job and so forth, right?
Hmm.
Today, then I realized she never pushed me to be that better. I pushed myself, and then I pushed everybody out because I wanted them to be like me, and I would get upset that they didn't want to. What do you mean you don't want to go and make money? What do you mean you don't want to own a house? What do you mean? And I used to get
Yeah.
upset. I'm like, now I have children, and I have employees that depend on me. Sometimes I catch myself and I feel like I'm getting like to that, and I'm like, oh, slow down, like I can't
Hmm.
push everybody because first of all, not everybody thinks like Giorgio, right? It'd be
Hmm.
a better world if everybody did, but not everybody thinks like Giorgio. But at the end of the day, like you said, everybody needs to make their own mistakes, and then eventually, as you mature and progress, and you look back and you realize that you know every little piece, every little thing taught you something and
Yep.
count,
Yep.
right?
You're right. You're right. I
So
agree with you 100%.
how do you bring that thought into your youth leadership and what you guys do in church?
Um, in church, I have been a mentor. We called it a big sister to
Okay.
a group of girls. But then again, this is my church, and it's mostly composed of family. There are, people that are not my family, but the majority of it is my family. So they know the struggles I've been through and my past with my first marriage and the reason for the divorce. So I think I'm a living example. It's not much I have to say.
You have
They
right.
just seen my way of living, how I took upon and the approach that I took on what I went through, which was, something that was pretty big, and it was pretty bad. And but everybody saw that, and I serve as an inspiration to them because they say, hey, you went through this. With your two kids, and you made it through. You kept
Yeah,
your job, you got your apartment with your daughters. Your daughters are doing excellent in school. You still kept your faith. You still continue to serve the Lord, and that alone to them is a testimony.
that's
So,
amazing. Yeah,
mhm,
and I'm grateful that you're sharing that with me. And
mhm,
um, I'm so I don't want to I get emotional, but seeing my mom, going through that struggle, and I'm sure that to each has their own, really, struggle, but knowing what she went through as a single mother of three, and making sure that everything would just happen and without us feeling the impact, because that's the thing, like we never
yeah,
felt the impact, and we
mhm,
analyze, and you get upset and you might get mad
mhm,
with your parents. Hey, we never felt the impact. I always have food on my table. I
mhm,
always had clean clothes. I always had a clean house. You know, I never felt the impact, and there was no reason for me to be upset. And the fact
right,
that you were going through all that shit, but no matter what, your daughters were doing great at school, and you
mhm,
provided for them, and you did all of that, and then you moved on to a good relationship,
right,
and now being a homeowner and instilling in them that, hey, this you can be much better, you can achieve much
mhm,
more. That's fucking amazing, and again,
yeah,
thank you for sharing with us, um uh your part of your life.
of course. It's my pleasure.
So if you could or actually, have you ever thought about sharing with the world, or actually telling more than just maybe your church group, or your close friends? Have you ever thought about sharing it with others, what your experiences have made you, and how those experiences affected you and allow you to grow to this level where you are today?
I actually do share it. It's not something that I share with everybody, but it is something that I do share with people who I hold close. As a friend who I consider good friends and family. And so, yes, I do share it partly because it can be done. You know, even if sometimes you could be financially well off, but emotionally you're a wreck, and that alone will bring you down. And
Absolutely.
so, and it doesn't let you see past your situation. It's almost like a blockage. So
Yeah.
yes, it is possible. And so whoever I can share my experiences with, yeah, I definitely do.
Fantastic. Well, I'll keep it in mind, because I know a lot of people that, and I talk to many people every day, and sometimes you need that someone that shares something similar to you,
Mhm.
and to allow you to maybe view things differently, or
Mhm.
to allow you to know and realize that there is other ways, and
Right.
there's always a solution for
Yeah,
any problem.
there is. Where there's a will, there's a way.
Exactly. Exactly. Always, and I always look at it as, and I tell people, think of it as like water. No matter what happens, water always finds its way.
Mm-hmm.
You know, water always finds its way. It could be
Yeah.
like, a rock that's been there for generations and hundreds of years, and then all of a sudden, just little by little, will start dripping, dripping,
Yeah.
dripping, because water
Yeah.
always finds its way. So
Mhm.
it might not happen today, it might not happen tomorrow, it might not happen to you,
Mhm.
right? But the fact that you're passing this over to your children, and your children to their children, maybe what you're going through will help mold someone else. And um, it's not just about you, it's about everybody.
Mm-hmm. It's also surround you. That's right.
Exactly. So if you could, share one thought, if you could say anything to young Julissa or someone in that position or someone that, might be struggling today with trying to make a leap or trying to figure out who they are or where they want to be, what would you say to them?
So as we mentioned before, I'm very faith based, and I'm a believer, and I've always been, and I'm very passionate about believing in the Lord. So the first thing I would say is, um, we must have the Lord in us and have Him take control of our lives, and always have Him in the center of our life, whether it's our marriage and our relationship with our kids and our family. Other than that, we also have to perform our part. We must work hard, and we always have to make the best of our situations, regardless of what it is. There's always a little light at the end of the tunnel. My mother says something in Spanish, no hay mal que por bien no venga.
That's true.
So, um, she always tells me that, when I have an issue, I speak to her about it, she goes, no hay mal que por bien no venga. And you always have to be determined. It's always one thing, putting it in the Lord's hands and working hard for it.
and we
Everything
just
else
went
is
through
work.
and we just went through something like that, and your mom told me the same exact thing when I spoke to her, because I was all like upset, and I'm like, oh my god, and your mom is like, hey, mijo, no hay mal que por bien no venga. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, I'm like, lady, I'm
Hmm.
like yelling at you, like I'm telling you like how like annoyed I am, and you're like, you know, telling me this, like, you should calm me down. I'm like, all right, I will do everything I can to make it work. Don't
Yeah.
worry.
Hmm.
Um, uh, but yeah, you're right, and and what you said also is, you take God into your life or the Lord. Uh, Jesus, Allah, whoever. At the end of the day, everybody has different, you know, the rights to, pick, choose, who they are faithful to. Um,
Hmm.
but one thing that you did say is, but you got to work hard at it,
Yeah.
right? Do you believe, or have you ever heard that saying, Dios lo provee, or like God will provide? And have you heard it? And what do you think about that?
Yes, I've heard it, totally heard it, and I totally believe in that. I do know the Lord provides. He's provided for me. I had that experience when I was home searching with you, and I really went into it, not so financially ready, and the Lord provided. And I put it in the Lord's hands, and I prayed, and I worked hard, and the Lord gives us the solutions, and the Lord gives us resources. We have them at our hand. We just have to learn how to find them and use them.
Which is what
And
I was, what I said I was going to. So, it's the way, I guess, you interpret it. You interpret that saying or that word, right? And what I was trying to get to is God will provide as long as you're willing to work for it,
right.
and He will give you the ways, because there are many, right?
Hmm.
You just have to act upon them.
Right. Right.
Just it's just not going to be given to you,
It's not gonna fall from heaven. It's
which
we
is
already have it. We just have to utilize them.
exactly. And it's something that I always tell people in some of our seminars, especially when we go to the churches, because I do have a potty mouth, and when I go to church, I'm like, I gotta be careful, not to curse, but I always leave with that because I heard it all growing up, God will provide, and I agree. However, you have to work for it. God will give you the answers. You just gotta go look for them, for one.
Hmm.
And second,
Hmm.
you gotta act upon them.
Right. Right. It's there. It's there. We just have to use them and know how to use it. And ways to ask the Lord, hey, answer me, tell me what do I do, and do it. We can't just sit there and say, oh, the Lord's gonna provide and my house is gonna fall from heaven and that's it. We're just gonna miraculously move in.
That's true. And again, like you said, your situation, you were looking to make the transition. You wanted to buy a house. You were looking, in many places because you guys were shopping everywhere, and
Hmm.
you were, you found Tamayo,
Yes, I did.
and you found Plainfield, which you was like, oh, I'm gonna look in Plainfield,
Yeah,
um, uh, and you loved it so much that you even had your sister pretty much like be your neighbor pretty much right
yeah,
now, right?
yeah. She
Uh,
is.
and again, you guys, worked hard to get it, to make it happen, and with your fate, you know, you made it possible.
Yeah, yeah. Thank God.
And I really appreciate it. You sharing with us this time, and really grateful to I really have you in my life. You made me laugh whenever you send me the messages. Like I know that you're gonna put a smile on my face. Whenever you message me, and I really appreciate for you for doing that, and for letting me be part of your life and of your family's lives as well.
Definitely no, and I want to thank you also because I know we're a tough crew, and you have your ways, and I tell you and I say it here in the video, you are a blessing to many. You are a blessing to my life. You are a blessing to my sister's life, and whether you know it or not, the Lord does use you, and you make it happen, and I really appreciate that. I'm so happy that it didn't work out with whomever we were dealing with before because I stumbled upon you, Tamayo. Even Tamayo told me I've never dealt with him, but hey, give it a try, and I'm so glad I did.
Thank
We're
you so
very
much.
grateful for everything you've done for us.
I really appreciate it. Thank you, Elaine, for allowing me the opportunity to do that for you and your family.
Of course, and you're gonna be in our life forever because we're gonna keep on looking for houses.
There you go. There you go. So, and I will be there for it. If it's not me, it will be my team. It will be my son. We'll always be present. We'll always be there.
Thank you, thank you.
And once again, thank you so much for letting us do this. And stay safe. Okay.
You too, Giorgio. It was great speaking with you.
Ciao.